to my channel. I am so sorry that I did not post a video on Wednesday, but I have a good excuse for that. I have this medical condition called spondylitis, which causes inflammation in my spine. Because when the episodes where I do get it, it causes difficulty for me to walk and intense lower back pain, so I have to lay down and stay vertical until the inflammation goes down and I can go back to walking as normal. It is incurable, and it's just something that I have to live with and deal with the pain. It's more pain management, but that is the reason I did not upload. On top of that, I live in Miami, Florida, and as you guys probably know from all the news, we are going to be hit with Hurricane Irma in the next 48 hours, so it's just been a little bit crazy kind of getting ready for it and everything. I actually have to put all those books on my desk in a garbage bag in case something happens to my window and they don't get destroyed. But other than that, thank you guys for all the warm thoughts. For those of you guys who have sent me messages and comments on being safe for Hurricane Irma, I really, really appreciate that. But I'm pretty sure that we're all going to be fine. But anyway, I do appreciate that. But anyway, enough with all the sad news. You guys are here for one thing and one thing only, and that is my book review on The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. This is the first novel that I read from Oscar Wilde. It was a very interesting introduction. He's more known for his plays, and I believe this is the only novel he ever written, like I said in a video before. So I didn't know what to really expect. I did know that he was I did know more about his character than his work. I knew that he was a very eccentric man who, but he was also very intelligent and very philosophical. So I knew that that was something that was probably going to be wrapped in his work. Those kind of characteristics. So I knew that, but I did not know what to expect when I was starting to read the Picture of Dorian Gray. But before I get into the spoiler part of this review, as always, you guys should know by now, I will say my overall thoughts. I did enjoy it. It is pretty dark. There are a lot of philosophical elements of aestheticism and new hedonism and just all these I'm more individual, the corruption of the individual in a way through vanity and nonchalant, not worrying about other people, worrying about yourself. So it's more, I feel like it's more of this kind of critique of individualism, I think, to be honest. And for those of you guys who don't know what The Picture of Dorian Gray is about, it is about a man who, it was about Dorian Gray, who has his picture painted by his best friend Basil, who's an artist, and he creates this perfect portrait of him. It's beautiful, and his friend Lord Henry wants to buy it, who is of course a very, very wealthy lord that lives, I believe they're in London, and and of course Dorian says, no, I want to keep the portrait. He gives the portrait to Dorian, and slowly Dorian, as he hangs out with Lord Henry, who seems to be who is a new hedonist, who, for those of you guys who don't know, new hedonists are people who believe in the pleasures of life. They believe in fulfilling your life through pleasure, and and they don't really regard other people. It's more about the individual and individual pleasure. So he hangs out more with Lord Henry, and every mistake that he makes throughout this book causes the portrait to age and change. And so there's obviously magical realism in this piece. There's a lot of it's just very, very interesting and very, very heavy, and I don't want to give out too much, but it is a piece not for the faint-hearted. I will say that it is definitely a hard piece, and I think that it probably was his best as a debut. I think it really made Oscar, he wrote pieces before and essays and stuff, but this was his creative debut, and I think that he did phenomenal, and I think definitely this book launched him into the limelight. But that's it for my overview, so I will go into spoilers. So if you have not read The Picture of Dorian Gray, I would suggest maybe stopping this video now. I don't want to make this too long because it is a short novel. It's not too long. I did like the way that this book was blanketed in all its philosophical elements. I like that everyone had they were symbolizing for something. You had Lord Henry, who was the new hedonist. You had Dorian Gray, who young adult trying to figure out themselves over the, you know, and so he was 20, like our age, so we can definitely relate to Dorian. There's also, I love that Basil was a symbol for the Romantics, and yeah, so everyone stood in for something, Sybil too, and just all the little minor characters as well. I loved that, or you don't know who the antagonist is, and it's really all based on perception, which makes it very interesting, because most stories you know who the antagonist is right away, and here it's very multifaceted. It's literally based on how you look at it. It's a kind of piece you have to read over and over again, because there are a lot of layers to it. I definitely have to go back to this when I'm older, because I'm sure I'll have a different perspective. But my overall view of this book is that it definitely showed, it was definitely a critique on individualism, and how if we go too much into our, you know, into our pleasures, how it can corrupt us as an individual, because we become egotistic, we don't care for others, we don't care about the consequences, and a lot of times it can eat us alive, and it leads us to self-destruction. But also it shows overly critical can also be, you know, judging other people can also be your demise as well. It's just a very interesting thing, because like I said, it's different points of view, and you have all these different characters that make these decisions, and you try to make a judgment, and it's hard because your judgment's broken down the next chapter you reach. And so I think also Oscar Wilde, I think something he understood very well was that as human beings, we naturally judge other people, and we feel like we have the upper hand and have that authority to judge. And really we don't, because, you know, people are different, there are different circumstances, and, you know, as we grow and evolve, we don't know what decisions we'll make and how it can affect other people. And we can either choose to be empathetic, or we can choose to not care and do what we want. And, you know, it's just, and how that plays out is all predetermined by our consciousness and predetermined by, you know, our values and our ethics. And I think that, you know, I saw that a lot when I was reading The Picture of Dorian Gray. Like I said, there are a lot of, I'm pretty sure if I read this in the future, I probably might have a different perception from this book, but it's such a simple plot, but there's so many layers to it. And that's one of the things I really loved about this book, and I feel I would love to even incorporate in my own writing, you know, that kind of ambiguity, that kind of, you know, it's very confusing for the reader, and you want to read the piece over and over and over again to get all the, you know, to see how your perception changes as you grow older and have different experiences. But yeah, I gave this a 5 stars, 5 stars on Goodreads. It's an amazing novel. If you've not read it, I highly suggest you do. So yeah, I think that's it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought about The Picture of Dorian Gray. If you've read it, who's your favorite character, and if you agreed with anything that I said. I'm actually kind of curious to see what you guys think. Anyway, that's it for this video. I will see you guys hopefully next week. We will see how this hurricane plays out. But again, thank you guys for the warm wishes. I will stay safe, and from my family to yours, mwah. Bye guys.